Hello, and welcome to another edition of Ask Ben W., the video series where I get to tackle exactly one question as I walk from my parked car to my office in Denver Public Schools. Today's question is once again concerning the Digital Educator and Personalized Learning Academy happening on June 16th and 17th in Denver. And it goes something like this. What should the expectations be for an attendee of a conference or event? And I'm going to just leave it there. There was more to that, but essentially, what should the expectations be for the attendee? And the reason why that came up for me is actually because so yesterday and today is the F8 conference, which is like the Worldwide Developers Conference for Facebook, which, much to my chagrin, is becoming the internet for many people. Maybe not most people, but many people, particularly in other countries. Facebook is the internet. And it's just a very strange sort of thing that is happening there. And by way of sort of making Facebook the internet and sort of having that level of emphasis means that there's a lot of influence and a lot of power in hosting an event about it. And sort of what the future is, Mark Zuckerberg laid out the next 10 years of Facebook and what their overall trajectory was gonna be and what they were gonna focus on. And there was an app that came out both for Android and iOS that was focused on the conference, and it had all of the sessions, and it had the keynote, and it had the Wi-Fi information, and it had the ability to save sessions to your own sort of profile, and obviously you logged into the app with Facebook. That's not a huge surprise there, but the expectations that people have for going to that event were such that you are attending sessions and you might make connections with other people. There is a feature within that app of actually friending or doing something with the other developers where you're making a connection with the other people that are attending a session or something like that. But it was very clear from the app that the expectations are you are attending sessions and learning from experts. And so the question for me became, well, how do you confound those expectations for an event if the world's biggest social platform, and in many ways the internet for many people around the world, has said this is the expectations for an event? And how do you confound those expectations, and how do you actually maybe build on top of the expectations that a lot of attendees already have? How do you build on top of those and make those honor and value the expectations that many people have for the sessions that are going to take place, or the time commitment that you are putting in. And so I started thinking about the ways in which we communicate expectations, right? You can say that DEPLA is a different kind of event, but how do you set the expectations that people are not just attending sessions? How do you set the expectation that there is some problem of practice that they are coming with, or that they have thought about the way in which they want to learn, or that they have considered their own learner profile for what they need to get out of the event? And I think that communication is one step, but it also made me think of the app that Facebook put out, right? So in the app, that's not a good angle. In the app, it has those different elements of these are the sessions, these are the things you can attend, save them for later. And in very similar ways, the ISTE app, International Society for Technology and Education, which is also in Denver in late June, those are the expectations there as well. And so how do you change those expectations? How do you set it up so that it isn't, I am going to slot every hour of my time with a session, or I'm specifically going to avoid sessions and like do something else, like answer email or something else that you might need to get done at that particular moment. And so that's the focus, right? For me, is changing expectations, or at least setting expectations that are different than I think what would maybe traditionally be offered at an event. And so communication is one strategy. Two is like changing the apps that we might use, or the processes that we might use for people like creating their own schedules, so that it isn't just sessions that they are putting in, but that like we are encouraging them to take at least 1 or 2 blocks of time, and specifically selecting the collaboration strand or the innovation strand. And how do we encourage those kinds of moments and blocks of time for people to sort of arrange their schedule? And so thinking about the kinds of either documents for a plan that you might use, or simply thinking about the day differently, right? Like one of the ways in which you can do this, although it does get a little bit more complicated, is essentially scheduling times during the day where that is the only option. Where collaboration or innovation pathways, that's the only option that we have. Where people are tackling a problem of practice, or they are tackling some kind of prototype that they're really looking to develop in a design thinking process. That's another way of going about it. The other things that I'm thinking a lot about to encourage different expectations have a lot to do with the way in which teachers and leaders come to the event, and the why they have come to the event. Was it because someone specifically invited them? Was it because they knew that there was going to be a certain speaker or conversation that was happening? Was it because there's a particular tool that they want to make sure that they know how to use for their classroom or school for the next year? Like, all of those things are possibilities, but how do we make sure and support the different expectations that they are coming to the event with, and how do we either change them or build on top of those expectations? So that's kind of where I am. And although I don't have like the fully formed answer there, I do think there's a lot of value in the communication side of things, the tools and apps that we use to help people to choose their options, and then setting up the schedule really well and ensuring that the reasons why they are there are actually tackled. So those are sort of 4 different approaches for both understanding the expectations and also changing the expectations for such an event. So if you would like to give your own thoughts, please do so in the comments section below, or ask a question on social media using the hashtag AskBenW. I've really been enjoying this trajectory of talking about the Digital Educator and Personalized Learning Academy. My guess is it will be a focus of mine for the next few months, and so hopefully you don't get too tired of that. But if you do want to intersperse a question, please use that hashtag, and I hope you have a great day of learning.